back to the Commitment Issues podcast.
Yay! 2025! Sorry.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back! Yay!
You thought you saw The Last of Us in 2024 because we haven't uploaded in like a month, but that's fine. We're back.
You're not getting rid of us that easy.
Welcome to Commitment Issues podcast 2025, our very first episode of the year.
Yes! And we got something special planned.
We have our very first guest on this podcast.
Oh my gosh!
So, let's get right into it. All right. So, I'm Morgan,
I'm Caitlin.
and this is our special guest for the day.
Hey everyone, I'm Valerie.
So we're gonna talk a lot about like the music stuff, like music industry. We do want to touch on like social media and stuff. So we're very excited to have you on.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So just to like start off, what got you into this scene? Like what got you involved with it?
Dare I say Tumblr? Dare I say that's where it got me? I didn't grow up in one of those households where it's like, yeah, my dad raised me on rock, and it was a no. We were like a very strict like Kids Bop, Radio Disney kind of household, which I will die on the hill that a lot of the teeny bopper bands that are on Radio Disney, like Honor Society, All Star Weekend, KSM, like that is the gateway to being emo. You listen to that and you're like, I'm kind of with this. And then later down the line, when you learn about like Fall Out Boy, like it's just over for you. And that's how it was for me. I made a Tumblr and I was like, what is this Panic at the Disco you speak of? What is this Fall Out Boy? Um, and here I am, like a decade later, still an emo piece of shit. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay. I was like, oh, okay.
We've been trying to cut back on it because our parents listen to it and they're like, you got.
Okay. We'll do like only as really needed.
Oh yeah.
Got it. Got it.
We let them slip all the time though. We like
Yeah,
it's all
okay,
good.
so don't feel bad at all.
But also, I also grew up very much listening to like Radio Disney and stuff. Like that's the only thing my mom would play. But if I was with my dad, it would be like his 80s music. So I have no idea like what my actual genre of music is because it's like pop and then it's honestly some of those Radio Disney songs are still really good.
Oh no, they slap. Like I still listen to them, especially like the movie soundtracks.
Oh my
Even
God, yeah.
Nickelodeon had some bangers as well. There was like a Nickelodeon like made for TV movie called shoot, what was it called? I'm blanking. He like it was a rock guy that had to do show choir. I think Spectacular, maybe? I don't know. But that was like the gateway for me. I was like, oh, genre exists. Noted.
I thought when you said that, I was thinking of School of Rock, but I don't think that's what exactly.
That too, but that was like more a, I don't know, heartwarming message about inclusivity rather than like, ooh, emo boy and rock band. That's a thing, a little bit different.
Honestly, Roderick Heffley.
Okay, no, because that's so valid. Like, be on it.
No, he was like my favorite character in those movies. Like I'm trying to think my actual gateway was One Direction. Like I went for the
Mm-hmm.
One Direction pipeline for all that.
Mhm. There was also a gymnastics movie called Stick It, and like the entire soundtrack was emo, like Green Day, Fall Out Boy, like literally whole thing. And so that was another that also got me into a like I think I could do gymnastics phase, which I was like, girl, what do we, like sometimes you have to watch a movie and get a little delulu.
That's me with
It
archery.
worked out better.
Oh, I feel that too hard. I'm always like, that looks so easy, and I'm like,
I could do that, right?
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't like no.
Mine
Mm.
was the Hunger Games and archery. So
Oh my God, me too. Me too. I thought that I was going to be a natural. I was on vacation once after that came out and they had these like little like clinics to like learn sports and shit. And I went to the archery one and I was like, no, don't even worry, guys. Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna be so good. Literally could not even shoot the thing. Like I could not get it to leave the bow. So I was humbled really quickly. Yeah.
no, because why is it so much like harder? And like I took it in school, so they had different
Oh, okay.
for the bows. And some of them were so hard to pull. I was like, or they were different weights or whatever, and I was like, I cannot do that.
Oh wait, yeah, I do
Didn't
remember
you took
that.
it with me, I think?
Yeah, Morgan
Yeah.
and I went to high school
Yeah.
together, so we were like in a
I
lot of
love that for y'all.
classes, just causing like the utmost chaos ever. And our poor gym teachers are just like, please stop.
They're like, please just be quiet. Um, so actually, who are your favorite? Who's like your top artists? We know you really like MCR and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't? I feel like, are we talking like all time or like right now? Because I feel like it's different.
Let's do both. Let's do both.
Okay. All time, I mean, like obviously, like My Chemical Romance is up there. The Fall Out Boys are up there. So my other movements is a big one of mine. And I feel like people are always surprised about that because they're like, you never talk about them. And movements are like the epitome of like just some guy. So there's just not like a whole lot to report on, you know? It's like breaking movements news. And then like one of them's like, I caught a fish. Like they're just the chill, like there's, you know what I mean? Like there's just not a
Yeah.
lot to say. The music's great. They're always on tour. They stay in their lane, they mind their business and love them. As It is another one very near and dear to my heart. But some newer artists that I are kind of in both categories. Malabora, love Malabora. Everybody needs to go check out Malabora immediately. Chase Petra, obviously, you know, we love Daisy Grenade, we love the Home Team, we love Scene Queen, we love Honey Revenge, like all of basically the entire summer school tour. Like that literally right there, I was like, yes, thank you. Exactly. Served to me on a silver platter. I'm just really excited about how many new artists, I know they're not new, but like are starting to finally get like the recognition and the platform that they deserve. Like they're no longer me and like four other people listening to them. It's like, oh my God, you're like finally, like you have audiences, you're on headlining tours. Like, thank you. Um, yeah. So it's a bit all over the board, I guess. And then of course I also have like my pop girlies, my Chapel Roan, my Taylor Swift, my Charlie XCX, my Brat era, you know, like we have that too. We always have to have that too.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. I know I probably look like I'm rocking the Brat era still to this day. Thank you, hair dye, not letting it come out.
I so appreciate my hair dye fading back to blonde. That so good.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Oh my gosh.
So, I stalked your Twitter a little bit and I found a tweet
Oh
poking
no.
fun at camping lines like for concerts.
Hmm.
But you specifically talked about My Chemical Romance. So,
Hmm.
how do you think it feels to like basically have predicted their upcoming tour?
Listen, if you're like me and you tweet about My Chemical Romance doing something often enough, chances are that when it is that they actually do something, you will have tweeted about it in fairly close proximity. And it just works out that way. So I'd love to say that I manifested that, but really me and every like My Chem fan for the literally the past like 5 years since they got back together has been manifesting this continuously. Am I like still 2% sad it's not a new album? Yes. But like I'm just happy to see them active. And there's a conspiracy theory, which I am not a conspiracy theory person, but when it comes to My Chemical Romance, the tinfoil hat is so strapped on that we're maybe getting a new album and it's gonna be like because the Black Parade is the band like within the Black Parade universe, that it'll be like their album. So it'll be like an album within an album thing, which again sounds like Madman looking at scratches on wall, being like, no, listen. But I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna sit in my Delulu and I'm gonna believe it. And night one of the tour, I'm going to be glued to whatever One Pixel live stream there is. And I've just accepted my fate. Like that's what it's gonna be.
Oh, that's too real. Being glued to like the live streams like that.
That's
And
us
you're
with
like,
water park.
Where is Diet Shampoo? Because we need her to come back.
oh my God. Well, speaking of Twitter, we wanted to wish you a happy 10-year anniversary on your Twitter.
I think it's in May or something. So it's not yet.
Electronically online. And the sad part is this is not even my original Twitter account. I've been on Twitter since like 2012. We had to do the tweet and delete and like restart because it got too embarrassing, you know?
Oh my
Um,
God. I totally
yeah,
get that.
yeah, yeah, not proud of it, but I definitely was there lying that I was 13 before I was.
Oh, you're like, ooh, guys.
Yeah.
But so having been on the internet for like so long and been a part of Twitter for so long, what in your opinion do you think has changed the most over the years about Stan Twitter and like the culture behind that?
Well, a lot, first of all. Yeah, yeah. I've seen it change a lot for good. I've also seen it change a lot for bad. I think probably the biggest thing that I have seen change for good is people realizing that we, as whether you call that a fandom or just emo Twitter, like we have bargaining power in numbers. So we are able to band together and say, no, we don't want this artist on this tour, or no, this artist does not deserve a platform anymore. If you think about how many bands, when they get canceled, like stop using Twitter because they know that's like the one platform that they'll get held accountable on, and they're like, there's no hope for us. I mean, All Time Low has like something crazy, like 1 million followers that they just don't even use that platform anymore. Like that is a huge marketing channel for them that has been cut off because Twitter has bandaged together to make it clear, like, we don't tolerate you and what you stand for here. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that has been why we've seen so many more stories from survivors come forward. And a lot of times people are like, why are you all just coming up now? And it's like, because there's power to do something about it now. Back in like, not to say social media wasn't a big thing in like 2015, but like, it wasn't quite like it was. If you posted something on social media, most people that were a fan of that band probably weren't going to see it. Whereas nowadays, even though allegations are primarily online, people know about it offline. Like it goes far beyond just somebody posted this on Twitter. I do think the one negative is both kind of on the artist and the fan side is artists have to basically market themselves through social media. That is like the primary tool that they are having to use nowadays. Whereas back in the day, it was more about like you have to have a good product. And now, like a marketing team or a record label will market your product for you. And bands are having to do so much. I don't want to say fan service, but they're having to like constantly be building their fan base. And in some ways that's good, but in some ways that has opened the door for a lot of parasocial behavior. I'm sure I do not need to elaborate because
Wow.
when the perceived distance between the artist and the fan is like, it feels like, oh my God, that's like my Twitter mutual. It gets a little bit like, okay, like you are still paying for this person's time, right? Like, let's remember that. So, always it's going to be good and it's bad. And I think as like new generations continue to like join and maybe don't know like some historical context, and it's like sometimes I see mistakes getting repeated that I'm like, everyone my age is like, oh, we've learned this one, and someday you'll learn it too. So it's interesting. I think just think about things in the broader context too. It's just intriguing to think about the different ways things have gone down over the years.
Stan Twitter is definitely an interesting place to be. I haven't been a part of it for that long. Like I had Twitter, but I never really went on it. And then when I started getting into like 5 seconds of summer, I was using it a little more. Um,
Oh, salute. Say no more. Say no more on 5 seconds of summer Twitter. Like I wasn't there, but I saw like on the edge, and I was like, y'all so brave. I mean, y'all so brave.
it's definitely that was definitely a place to get into. But then I my next location was the water parks Twitter.
Oh, another location. Most interesting.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a place to be. Especially if
A
you're
place
not
of activity.
I'm not very active on there to begin with, and I don't think a lot of people really know who I am. But like seeing all this stuff happen on here, and it's like all this random drama, and I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are, and I don't know what's happening. And then people
Mhm.
are just so aggressive on there, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that I have like somewhat of a unique name. Because I feel so bad when people have like generic ass names, and you will see like I'll wake up and like my whole timeline is like fuck, I don't know, Emily. And there's like 20 Emilys that are probably on like Waterparks and I know like more than one. I'm like, I don't know who the so I'm very grateful that that doesn't really happen to me often just because there's not by virtue many Valeries, but ooh, I can't imagine. If I was like Sarah, I would be panicking.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know what you mean by that. That's definitely very, you're like, wait, what did I do? And it's like, no, you didn't do anything. It's like
Yeah.
this totally other person that's unrelated.
Although I will see, there's like one other person that has the name Morgan on there, and I always see people talking about that person, and I'm like, why are you talking about me? How do you know who I am? I'm like, wait a second.
Gosh.
So also, since we wanted to talk about since starting your TikTok and your like Twitter account in the last several years, you've really become an activist for like chronic illness. So we wanted to know, how does it feel to like be making differences in people's lives by being like outspoken and like sharing your experiences online?
Yeah, it's really been full circle for me because I mean I've been sick my whole life, but I started getting like accurate diagnoses about a decade ago, around the time I became emo. I feel like we need a study on that, but I digress. Um, and I really sought out chronic illness content when I first got diagnosed. And a lot of it was really toxic back in the day. It was very much like who's sicker. It was people like posting pictures of them like in the hospital, like or videos like sobbing. And it'd be like, this is your life. Like it was just really bad to like watch and be 15 and go, oh my God, like either I'm watching this and I don't feel like valid in my illness because this person's got it worse than me, or oh my God, this person has the same illness and like this is my life now. And I never really like set out, at least with like TikTok specifically. I had a chronic illness Tumblr back in the day, but that's another story. But when I started TikTok, I never like sat down and was like, I'm gonna be a content creator. I just got TikTok during the pandemic when it first hit, as everyone did. And then as I was watching like the trends, I was like, haha, I have an idea. And then they just got views, and I was like, wow, I guess I'm funny? Question mark. So I didn't really like go into this like I am gonna be but as I started making content just naturally, I sort of realized that like I was making the content that I wish I would have had when I was first diagnosed, or that I wish I would have just had to follow along with. That was, um, you know, walking the line between being like open and honest, but also not chronic illness sucks, like it sucks, and I'm not gonna like make that better than it is, but I'm also not gonna act like I can't also be a person with hobbies and interests and passions and other topics I want to talk about, and I still have a life, even when shit is terrible, even when I am going through like the worst medical experience imaginable, like I'm still a person. And I like my whole life is not just my illness. And so knowing that I've been able to not only like help people that are chronically ill and disabled feel comfort in that, but to educate a part of my audience that follows me for my emo content that like would not otherwise think, gee, I'm gonna look up disability justice content today. That I've been able to educate people kind of through that like Trojan horse manner, is really, really powerful for me too, because I know that the way algorithms work. Like you see the kind of content you seek out. And so I'm able to sort of sneak my way in and hopefully educate an audience that maybe would not be getting that content on their feed otherwise. So it's just like every now and then I'll get a message from somebody saying that like I've helped them get diagnosed, or I've helped them be more comfortable like talking about their experiences or like advocating for their needs. And it's just like I can't even put it into words. I'm like so grateful that like so many people have, I don't know, like allowed me to have the platform I have, I guess. I don't know. A lot of times I feel like I'm just some guy. And I turn around and there's a lot of people listening and I'm like, oh my God, hello, thank you, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny. I know, like, when you were saying you didn't really set out to, like, do that specifically. I think that's kind of like, I feel like I hear so many people kind of say similar things where they're like, oh, suddenly I'm here. And you're just like, what am I am simply just a person living on this earth as you are. But, like, people really look up to you. And I know, like, me and Morgan definitely appreciate all that you do.
Honestly,
Um,
I've been
yeah.
seeing your content since like way before the podcast even became a thing. So like I've been seeing all your like chronic illness stuff, and I also have friends who are like chronically ill, and it kind of helps me understand them better too, which I think is really cool.
Thank you. And thank you for listening too, because like it'd be totally valid to be like, she's not talking emo today. Bye. I'll see you next video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely really like awesome that you get to make these videos and that people really look up to you.
Thank you.
on a, I feel bad like switching topics because I know that was such like a heartfelt
It's
little
okay.
talk.
This entire
It's okay. There's like not really good segues, like
this
ever.
podcast is us just randomly changing topics, like even
That's so
on.
valid. That's so valid. Moving on. Next.
Yeah. But so obviously I know we've mentioned parks already like a little bit here.
Every one of our listeners' favorite topics.
Yeah. But so since you do also talk a lot about parks on Twitter, we were wondering, were you a fan or were you a fan of theirs before you like had became like sorry, words are hard. Like before like the on your online presence really started to like take off, or did that just kind of happen like because they're in the scene and that's a very prominent like online fan base?
I was a fan before it was cool. Yeah, yeah. No. I probably became a fan, if my timeline is correct. I want to say it was like 2017. It was like Double Dare era. Like entertainment was not out yet, but it was like Double Dare had already been out, and I think they'd already toured it. It was like that kind of time frame when I got into them. And I think it's funny because I think there's a lot of people who either think that I am like the biggest Parksy in the world, like that I am like ride or die. And there's a lot of people who think that I don't like water parks and I've never listened to them. And I just am like a WWE commentator on all the drama. And it's like really neither. It's really neither. Like I think they're great. Like they're one of my like they're probably one of my top 10 artists if you look at like my listen history. I don't know if I consider myself like emotionally invested enough to like call myself a Parksy. But I've been around for a hot minute. So it's a little funny to me when people are like, she doesn't even go here. And I'm like, I probably have gone here longer than you have. Granted, in a less like committed way, but I have in fact been here.
You've seen like all the drama
I've
on like
I've I'm so old and I'm really not, but I feel like I've just been everywhere, always
we're like
witnessing,
in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
literally, literally, like for all time.
We salute you for that,
We really
Thank
do.
honestly.
you.
That
Thank
is
you.
not for the weak at heart at all.
Oh my God. Did you what was the recent drama? The one from this week.
I had to have multiple people give me a rundown because there were too many names and I didn't really know who all of the people were. And so I had to have people like explain to me it's the person who did that and they said I'm like okay, I literally had to send text back to be like okay, so let me just make sure I had this right, so you're saying that I'm very grateful that I am kept in the loop. Sometimes I wish there was a little less to be kept in the loop on, but beggars can't be choosers.
So well. You know that like Parks countdown, like drama countdown
Yeah,
thing? Oh my God, we were doing so good. We hit like
yeah,
100 and it just went.
yeah. You know, that's why like I said, I like parks. I think they're great. I'm very happy to be on my own little island where like occasionally they'll be like, "Sir, did you hear the news?" And I'm like, "Oh," but like I'm not personally really like affected, you know?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like tragic that that happened to that neighboring kingdom, who many of which are my friends and I love dearly, but I'm chilling in my quarters. So yeah.
Protecting your peace also.
Yeah, a little bit.
Speaking of peas, which is his with this person, this is not something we get very often. Um, Last year you had a phone call with Evan, aka TX2. Um,
Mhm.
and after I know before the phone call, you guys weren't really seeing eye to eye, and he wasn't being very understanding to like what you were trying to explain to him. But
Mhm.
afterwards, you did tweet Evan, who is very much not the TX2 character that we see. So I was just wondering, like, not necessarily what was said in the phone call, but like, how did it
Yeah.
change your perspective of him, like being able
Yeah.
to sit down and talk to him?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure a lot of people got a little bit of like whiplash over those few days, but I will say, I know who I am and I know my character. And this whole incident that sprung this whole thing, I saw which for people who are listening, long story short, like an old song of his surfaced that was like the lyrics were bad. It was problematic, period, end of story. And I saw them at night. Like I was already washed up, ready for bed, rotator in. I was not gonna make a post about it, looking like I did. And I tweeted something like, I'm gonna demolish him tomorrow or something. And everybody comes in my replies like, yes, girl, beat his ass. Um, and again, I know my character, I know who I am as a person. Everyone who follows me knows that, and they know what I would and wouldn't do, and they knew that that tweet meant I'm gonna make a strongly worded video about this tomorrow. And I didn't really consider that like I would. Then I went to bed, I slept on it, and I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm not choosing violence. I want to actually see if we can have a genuine conversation about this. Like, let's have a chat. Then I made a video and then I tagged him. So he ended up seeing the I'm gonna demolish you tweet first. Um, and understandably, if you don't know me and someone tweets like I'm gonna demolish you, and all the replies are like, get him, you probably don't think, ah, yes, she means she's posting a mean TikTok, right? So a lot of the back and forth that people saw on Twitter was stemming from that misunderstanding. Like he was like, well, where are you? Like you said you were gonna come, and I was like, no, I didn't. I literally did not. And like, he's thinking that like I don't know, on the bus to go fist fight him or something. Anyways, he ended up once I clarified, no, he DM'd me and was like, I apologize. Let's talk on the phone. Twitter can be too easily misconstrued. I felt a little bad because I was like, has this man really like has he been waiting at the merch booth ready for me to like I'm laughing because the idea of like me doing that is so laughable. Like me fight like I would die. Like you could breathe on me and win in a fight. But again, he doesn't know me from shit. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I don't know. I could be at the gym lifting weights, bro. I mean, I don't know. So anyways, we had the phone call and based on just kind of the way he talks online, I thought that I was going to be talking to like a type of person. And that's not who he was at all. I was kind of preparing for somebody who would be like defensive or egotistical or like you just don't understand like that kind of concept. And like I this was one of those like practice in the mirror for like I was
Yeah.
ready to go. Um and like within 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, what? What? Like what? Because it started off very like, thank you so much for taking the time. Like, I apologize again for the misunderstanding. Like I really value what you're trying to do in the scene, and like I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And so we chatted, and really the crux of that call was me saying, like, I see from where, like where you're coming from, you feel like you've taken accountability. Like you took the song down because that doesn't represent like who you are anymore. And I'm here to explain that, like, unfortunately, in the scene, just because you take something down doesn't necessarily mean that you like disagree with it. Like sometimes it's a sweeping under the rug issue. And here's like, some examples of people who have done that. And like it's not that, people are wanting to like try to drag this out or like kick you while you're down, but it doesn't necessarily go without saying that like you deleted something equals you don't agree with it. And we had talked just about some other things more generally, just about like safety in the scene in general and trying to cultivate a better environment for fans. And we've continued to keep in touch a little bit too, which I think has been um, really reassuring to me that that phone call was genuine and not just like I did get some people that asked me, they're like, or how do you know you didn't just get played? And I was like, I don't, but like I'm here in good faith. And the fact that he's continued to reach out and has continued to ask for my thoughts, and has done that in private and has not been like, look, everyone, look what I did. I'm getting good. Like that it feels very genuine to me. The questions he's asking feel very genuine, and it feels like someone who is thinking deeply about these things. And so, I know he's a polarizing figure. Everyone has their own thoughts and opinions on him, but I will say, before all this, like I didn't follow him. The only content of his I ever saw was like the things that got people like rage baity enough to like go really viral. And now that I do follow him, like it's not the content that does very well, but like he does make content where he talks about abuse in the scene and how if you are underage and like your favorite 20-year-old band dude is in your DMs, like that is not okay and you need to tell a trusted adult. Or you don't need to like some of it gets into like mental health topics and I don't know how like blunt I want to be, but anyways. Um, so again, like I really think he's trying. I really think he's trying and I'm not anyone's keeper, so I don't like speak for anyone, but um, we need more band dudes who try instead of throw in the towel when they get called out on something. And so I'm rooting for him. And, you know, the very end of the day, he got on the phone with me, and that is more than basically every other dude in the scenes.
It's really interesting to hear that he like is way different than what we see because honestly, I only know him from TikTok and like I only see him promoting his songs too. So it's just that.
I mentioned that to him too, and I was like, I'm not your manager. Like, this is literally just my opinion, so you don't have to listen to me. But I think if more people could hear you talk or just like be like yourself, not in this like character persona, like I think that would go a long way for people realizing like you don't actually act like that, think like that, believe, you know what I mean? Like it is kind of a character, so to speak. Um, because we've had like really great dialogue where like he would ask my thoughts, I would give my thoughts, he would give his like that's not what I think would be happening when I see, you know, the kind of TX2 posts that I think a lot of people think of. So, and again, that's something I've mentioned to him, and that's something that he said to me he wants to move away from. So, um, again, like I always feel like I don't want to ever be like speaking for someone, but I felt the same way when I got on the phone. I was like, this is a different person, um, which I wouldn't have known if I hadn't had that call with him. And I feel like a lot of the scene doesn't know either.
It actually makes me feel a lot better about him knowing that you trust him because like we trust your opinion, we think.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, that's the one thing that I always get nervous about having the platform that I do because like I mean like what just happened with Julian, you know what I mean? I'm like don't like I use my best gut.
You're still just a person and that's okay, but
Yeah.
Still
like
I'm just a person, you know what I mean? So I reserve the um every now and then I will get somebody who will like comment on one of my old videos and be like use the port and I'm like timestamp. Look at the times. Yeah, anyways, that's my, disclaimer. I don't know anyone and I don't speak for anyone, but I do think with the information I have available to me now, which is what I've had to start saying after everything with Julian, with the information I have available to me now in this moment, I do think he is somebody who is genuinely trying. And again, he's not anybody who has like abuse or grooming allegations. You know what I mean? So like I also feel like in many ways, I feel like the hate that he gets is not like the crime and the punishment aren't fitting, right? Like, is he perfect? No. But like, why is he getting that energy and not like, I mean, I ain't gonna name names, but like, I'm just saying there's plenty of other bands that I mean, just,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no, you're
not,
speaking.
I'm not saying anyone should be getting hate, but I'm saying like,
there are other bands.
there are other bands that we could be redirecting that hateful energy towards that is a lot more warranted, but that's,
Also, going back to the tweets between you and him, I did see the one picture of him standing by the merch table when I was
I,
like, that made me laugh so hard because I was
I,
like, I understand it
that's
all,
the thing.
but I was like, this is so funny.
It made me laugh because the idea of like me getting in my car to like go fight, like it's just, I mean, I literally, like, what am I gonna do? Be like, excuse me, before I fist fight you, I need to wear my protective glasses in case my eyeballs explode, right? Like, so to me, it was so comical. To him, like he must have been sitting there being like, damn, where is she? So I did feel really bad when I was like, oh my, does this dude think that he has been in like physical, like I did feel really bad about that because like just because I know that about me, average person, for all I know, I could be some big, I don't know, some big scary swole. I don't even know. The idea is just so fun.
Gosh, I was gonna say when you were talking about talking to Evan TX2, I'm not sure how to like refer to him. I don't know why I'm like
I
going back.
never know with people with a stage name ever. I like Scene Queen. I love her, and we talk but I'm like, do I call you? Do I call you Scene Queen? I don't know. yeah, I never know. So usually I just don't address by name
Avoid all
Yeah.
because I
They're like,
don't know
hey,
which way we're
you.
I
due.
do that with people I know in like real life too.
Yeah, I'm like, you, hey.
Yeah, I was just gonna like when you were talking about that, I was like the first thought that came into my head was, oh, I wonder if you guys had spoken like more recently or like have continued to talk. But that was like interesting to like when that actually did come up, I was like, oh, well, I answered my question already. There you go.
Yeah.
Got some background info.
So also, I know you mentioned you guys like keep in touch. Do you talk like do you keep in touch with like other artists as well? Like I know like some of them like going into the AP not MAs, like they hardcore campaign for this. So I'm like, do they like communicate with you of things like going on in the scene and stuff like that?
I think it depends on the artist. Like there are some artists that I would consider like friends, or at the very least, like not acquaintance, but not friend, but like somewhere in that like yeah, territory. And then there's some artists that are like, we're mutuals and we've never spoken one-on-one before, but I just hung out in your DMs and you said yes, and I'm real grateful. So I will say for most of the, I think the AP Not Amaze this year made me look much cooler than I really am. Because it made it look like, wow, look at all these artists that she knows. Like, I really don't. I just literally was like, hey, so I do this thing every year. I don't, you maybe have seen, you probably have it, but basically, so long story short, and would you maybe be willing? So that was the case for like As It Is, Daisy Grenade, Stan Atlantic, a friend of a friend asked them. Like, so a lot of it was like, you know, sure, girl, whatevs. I follow you. You're kind of funny, maybe. I'll throw you a
A lot of people
video.
this year.
Yeah, I was
Because
very
because
surprised.
last year you didn't have as many people.
Well, so last year I'd never even really, the whole thought of doing a guest presenter never, not to say like occurred to me. I used to make a joke back in the day about Austin being a co-host. And last year, I don't even remember how, somehow people were like, Austin should make a video. And like, then he came in my DMs and was like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, okay, sure. This is a thing now. And then because it was a thing and I didn't want to just have one, I reached out to Rachel, who's Need Girl. And I was like, do you want to do one? Like, I don't know. Like, and then that way it's like not just like one random guest presenter, it's like two. So then when I went into this year, I was like, no, like we're locked in. Like we're so locked in. And I had a list. I had like prospects planned in advance. I had like how I was gonna get a hold of them because I was not paying for Twitter. It really honestly was easier than it probably seemed because like a lot of it literally was DM. Like there was no email, there was no manager. Like literally every single one was just a DM, whether it came from me or somebody else on my behalf. So I'm just really grateful everyone was willing to play along with my nonsense. But to basically answer your question, there are some folks I talk to more regularly than others. Um, I feel like it's honestly less of like I know things about the industry because like artist friends tell me. I'll just like will get random DMs from people who I don't know who are like, "Hey girl, did you hear it?" I'm like, no, but now I have. So that's honestly more how I know about like scene inner workings than like I don't know. I'm not like in the green room, like I'm not at that level.
That's so cool though that you're like friends with at least some artists. Like that is really like cool to
Yeah.
It
see.
feels really
That
cool for me too. I'm like, oh my God, I like know people. But then I know that people say that about me, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. That's so weird. No, why would you say that?
Also getting Stan Atlantic this year, I'm currently obsessed with them. So I was so excited that
That
they
was not a me secured. That was someone who I'm mutuals with on Twitter who was very lovely. Her boyfriend is in Stan Atlantic. And so she was like, let me just ask him. And then I have another friend who has mutual friends with Stan Atlantic, and he also, so I think like asks went in two different directions to them. And then I think at that point I had already had like As It Is, and like I'd already had some like bands that had said yes. So I think that like gave me some credibility that they were like, well, I mean, like if if like people we know are doing this, then so I think that that helped a little bit. So next year, next year. Keep your eyes out because now that I've like, all right, we've established this. Y'all have seen the artists have been involved. I'm
I'm
just saying.
expecting My Chemical Romance this year.
I literally put a feedback form together and I was like, is there anyone you want to guest present? And I literally put, do not put Gerard Way. Like, I am good, but I am not that good. And the amount of people who filled it out and were like, Pete Wentz. I'm like, guys, please, like, I'm good. And I'm not saying that any of the artists that I pulled are not amazing and wonderful, but like, there is no way I am Pete Wentz. Let's just be
I
real here.
mean, Daisy Grenade.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you have the connection there.
I mean, that's true. I didn't want to ever ask someone to like ask someone bigger. Like that felt very disrespectful in my opinion. So I was like, if I can't have direct access to you to ask, like I'm not asking. Because people were doing the same thing in the other direction with Parks and Mikey Way. They were like, ask Austin. And I was like, I'm not. Like, yes, are we 1 degree or 2 degrees of away? But I'm not gonna do that, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. I was
Oh yeah.
mostly just joking
Oh
around.
no, 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 I know. But no, people were doing that same logic. And I was like, yes, but like, no.
Yeah.
I also just think that like if I had to sit down and explain this to Gerard Way, like he probably would just poor thing would just drop dead. Pete Wentz, if I could actually get 5 minutes of his time, I bet you he would be down. Um, Gerard Way, I think he would just be lost.
Oh my gosh, I had a question and then I completely forgot. No, whatever you were gonna say. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Good. I was gonna go more into the AP Not Amaze because I don't know when it started. I'm assuming like
2020.
that's what I was gonna say.
Early.
I was like,
Early.
so what kind of gave you the idea to start it?
Okay, it's kind of twofold. So do you want the bigger answer or the simple answer?
Honestly, we got time. The bigger answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the simple answer is because it was funny. The bigger answer is I don't know if y'all ever watched the AP Maze live. Okay.
No.
So it was like the one night a year that all of emo Twitter came together. And we all watched this live stream and everyone live tweeted, we live Tumblred it. Like literally, I had a transplant. And then I had to go back to like across the country like every 3 weeks for transplant appointments. And the APMAs were happening on my like 5 hour cross country flight for my transplant check-in. And that is the only time in my life I bought Wi-Fi because I was like, I will not miss this stream and my ability to live tweet this. So not to say that it like brought the scene together, but it was like the one time that I saw everybody like just having fun. And like, were we kind of poking fun at things? Yeah, because no one was really all that invested in the awards themselves. It was more just like there was always drama, there was always technical issue. Like it was just messy. It was messy and it was fun. And that's what I really missed. And that's why when I made the Pinata Maze, all the categories were kind of obviously like not music related. It was more like the culture and the happenings, because that's the stuff that is fun and is funny to talk about. And a lot of times the things that are going on in the scene are not so positive. And so to be able to be like, you know what, this is a time that we're going to dedicate to just like we're just going to have some laughs. And we're just going to poke fun at the weird stuff that happens, at the weird shit bands are doing, not in the bad way, in the like weird merch way. Let's just for the record. We got to clarify that real quick. Um, so that was really kind of the concept when I did it the first year. And the first year I did it, like 1,000 people voted. And this was very early on to me doing, I didn't even know if I really even was doing content creation that seriously. I thought I was gone. Like I was like 1,000 people filled out my survey. Life is crazy. So when I did it again, like year two and year three, like really year 1 through 3 was very chill. Like it was the same, it grew a little bit. It was the same kind of people who cared about it. It like wasn't, it was really last year that things got crazy. And then this year just like, so next year I feel like I have to keep up. See? But that's why, because like it's also my favorite season because my entire timeline is just like very low stakes, fun drama, haha. Everyone's tweeting about it. So that's the big long answer, but the short answer is because it's funny.
dead ass this year, I literally kept texting Caitlin and I was like, when are these happening? When are these coming out? Because I'm so excited.
And you know that was such
I cheat with the timeline every year. It's always like November, December-ish, but I was gonna do it like right after the election, and then the election was not what so then I felt like I can't right now. Like I need to
You need
um
a break there.
so it was a little bit because when I thought that the election was gonna go differently, I thought it'd be like a funsies, haha, here's the next and then it wasn't. So I was like, this is not the time to be talking about. Yeah.
but it was the light that we
It
needed.
was
It
definitely
truly was.
That's what a lot I'd asked, I was like, should we like wait till like December? Like, do we need, and people were like, no, I need something to live for. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, me too. I still feel like we need like a little bit of, there was like a 2 week buffer or something in there because I was like, I just, you know,
gotta let everyone process and then we can move on to the
yeah, 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 yeah.
hyping hyping ourselves back up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not gonna we kind of already talked on this one, like how did it compare to previous years? I can definitely say I know that last year with all the botting was
Yeah, that
definitely
was
way different.
crazy.
That made me laugh so hard, especially it being nominated this
People
year.
were paying for that. Like there were paid bots, which is what I couldn't wrap my head around. Listen, I can commit to a bit all day long. And I know that there's a really easy bot out there that takes like 5 minutes, but there's like a maximum of like 100 or something. I maybe it's just the cheapskate in me. I cannot imagine forking over. I don't know what even they were paying. I can't imagine really forking over anything for like a fake Google form. I just that's the part that gets me. Is I'm like, you paid your cold cash for this.
That I
Yeah.
kept tweeting that it was like in the thousands of like people voting, and I was like, oh,
We ended at over 1 million. I was like, this is I don't even know at what point. Like I felt pretty confident in the first like 3,000. And then from there I was like, I am not getting votes this quickly.
so also, how many hours of work like to put together the APMAs? Because I'm sure you have to sit through all the like quote retweets and stuff.
Yeah, don't even I don't even know if I really want to do the math in my head, if I'm being really honest. I will say I love it. So it doesn't feel like work. And I will also say that when I make categories, I specifically try to do categories that are not going to be it's 100% going to be this winner because like that's not fun. Because I've had some of those in the past and it was like 90%. I was like, okay, that's not even. So I try to specifically when I make categories think what are the likely nominees going to be? Um, and are there enough nominees? So usually for like the first 3 or 4 items, it's like very clear cut. 10 million people have said the same thing. Like, you're in, you're in, you're in. It's more the like obscure ones. The hardest one every year is like the small artists you love because there will be like 400 different answers for that one. Whereas when I did like weirdest merch item, like consistently, I was like, okay, here are like the top three, and then I've got to kind of comb through some of the other ones. Um, but it's fun. I don't want to say the hours. I will say that I do specifically do this during my like low season at work because I know I know the time it will take me and I can't do that because I'm really busy September, October. And so I like need it to be in that like, okay, I've like just done all my big stuff. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Like, I just like thinking about like how much like effort you put into it, like sitting there. I mean, like as long as you're having fun, like that's really all
It
that
is a
matters.
little embarrassing, I won't lie. When I think about those, I mean, my sister, was I live with my sister. And as I was getting ready to do the award show, and she's like looking at me sitting on the ground in front of my TV with my like Canva PowerPoint that I have made and my fake microphone and my props and then my other phone so I can read. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? I love committing to a bit. So here we are.
Honestly, it's so good. I love them every year.
Thank you. Thank you. I will never stop doing them. People could be like, girl, it's old. You've done this 10 times. Like, I won't stop ever. So, let's
I love
hope people
I
still
really
like
love
them.
the artists that are like so into it too. The video for As It Is, that made me laugh
Oh
so
my God. Ben sent it to me and was like, I hope this isn't like too much. And I watched it and I was like, no, like I would die for you. Thank you. Like I love that like people were just as into it as I was. Bree from Cliff Diver, hers was I just literally could not stop laughing with hers either. Um, that's yeah. That was I think what made it even more fun to me because it's not just like we were involved. When I was seeing bands campaign for themselves or for each other, um, yeah, I was getting multiple people who were texting me, or who were DMing me like, I'm at XYZ concert and I talked to XYZ band member and they were talking about it. And it's bands that like have not publicly talked about it. So I was like, wait, I didn't know that you felt this. Like someone was like, yeah, I was talking to Knuckle Puck. And I was like, what? I didn't know that this got to them.
that's so
So that's the part that baffles me because I would love to know like how many bands are like texting each other like, yo, dude, did you see you got nominated for this weird ass?
do they
Yeah,
get anything or do you just like is it
no,
just like the bragging rights?
no, literally nothing. I have toyed, I thought this year, in the past, some people have like created something and given it to someone at a meet and greet, but some of the winners are like not in like when the Fall Out Boy Suicidal Baby merch wins, I don't really know who that award goes to. Like, is it the merch designer? Is it Fall Out Boy? So for some of them, like, yes, theoretically, but for some of them, I also like not to say like I don't like have these people's addresses. So I can't just be like, "Hey guys, you won. Where do I... So like I could, but I feel like it would only get to like maybe a quarter of them. And then there would definitely be like a quarter like wildest fan drama. Like am I am I being like, "Hey, hey guys on Twitter, yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day. I mean, you if you win a category, I am automatically asking you for next year to present it. So I get like I guess you get that. But it's not for every category because if you get one of the like, I don't know, we're making fun of you categories, then if you get wildest fan drama, you're not presenting wildest fan drama the next year.
Wasn't that the one girl who like hated a band or like unstand a
Yeah,
band?
that was the As It Is fan account. That yeah. Yeah.
That made me laugh so
Not,
hard
not all that.
that she like campaigned for her to win. I cannot speak. Oh my God.
I don't know if I don't know if it was a girl, like I don't know the pronouns, but yeah, they made an anti-campaign of like why they should not win. And I swear they only won because of that. Because people were like, did not know about this, and now that I do, I'm voting out of spite. Because otherwise, 100%, what was the second one? Let me double. I feel like it was something parks related. Hold on, let me pull up. Um,
It's always Parks at the scene of the crime.
I feel like it was something. Maybe was it oh, it was the baby is kicking.
Oh my gosh.
I definitely
Like that should have won.
that should have
That
won.
should have won. But because they had did the anti-campaign, people were like, no, I'm voting for this. It's fine. Yeah, no, but it should have honestly, if I had to pick it, it probably would have been the baby is kicking. So
So all Parks drama last year was just so good.
if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know what that's referring to, I'm gonna say just be grateful, you know.
Yes. No, exactly.
Be grateful.
I do have to say, do you think that Otto will ever win White Boy of the Month of the Year?
Here's the thing. And I might get canceled for this. I feel like sometimes the Parksies get too relaxed. They think they have it locked in. It's the smaller fandoms that are fighting tooth and nail that are like, we have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears. And I feel like the Parksies just think, no, 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 we got this. We can coast. Because I think this might have been the first year that Austin lost an award he was up for. And that would have never happened back in the day. Ever. To the point where like every year I had to keep changing the rule for how many like awards one band or band member you could be nominated for, because people every year, the feedback would be like, Austin can't just win half of them. So to go from that to like he lost one of his, just people are they're just getting too cocky. They just think it's in the bag and it's not, because Lucas Woodland had, I swear to God, they were they were in the trenches. Okay, they were day and night on that Google form securing him the win. And that's apparently what it takes nowadays. So I think Parksies, I think y'all gotta regroup.
Mhm.
And I think y'all got to ready your battle strategy. And I did see some alliance making. I did see some like Stan Atlantic fans being like, listen, we'll vote we acknowledge that Bonnie's probably not winning. So we'll vote for Lucas if you vote for Stan Atlantic in another category. So like I feel like we've got to be thinking about these inter-fandom alliances.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say something and I forget.
Now it's happening to you. Oh, jeez.
It was damn. I don't know.
Maybe it'll come back to
It'll
you.
come back.
But so you want to move? Okay.
Yeah, do number 9.
Yeah. So
We're very
if
organized.
we try to be.
Okay. Where's your that fun?
So if you could pick one album to describe your life currently, what album would that be?
Mm. Depends on if I want to give a true answer or a funny answer. Um,
You can go
I
both
gotta
ways, but true.
I gotta be honest. You know how in way back in the day when My Chemical Romance were performing and like Gerard Way would come out in the hospital bed and then he'd like rip off the gown and be like, I mean, yeah, that's me. I feel like that's probably what I'm serving. Um, so maybe the Black Parade, but probably more realistically, hmm, I don't know if anything describes my life because I feel like my life is just, hey, I don't know, like I feel like I don't live a very exciting life. I wake up, I do my job, I yell about things on the internet. I play some Pokemon Go.
Oh my God,
Like,
that's so valid.
it's very not giving exciting.
Hey, I mean, sometimes not exciting is good when chaos ensues, and then you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
damn.
yeah, like we gotta just take the ride while we can,
No, definitely.
But anyways, that was all we had for you. Thank you so much for answering the questions and
Of
everything.
course.
Also,
Thank you for
thanks for
letting
being
me
our
yap.
first guest.
Oh, yes, I'm so honored. I'm so honored.
Oh,
Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for thinking I'm like enough of a thing to be a guest. I feel so flattered, so thank you.
We wanted to reach out before the AP Not Amaze, and then it just never happened. And then I was like, we're gonna reach out.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I mean, I'm so chronically online that like anything you ever need, I'm probably already there. Just, Twitter, like I've been for the past 10 years.
that's where you'll find me.
That's where you'll find me. I will go down with the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to like give your socials or anything? Like shout your
Oh,
out.
sure. Absolutely. I'm Valerie's Voice on TikTok. I'm Valerie's X Voice on Twitter because someone already had Valerie's Voice, even though she hasn't tweeted since 2013. Uh, and then I'm Valerie's underscore voice on Instagram. Somebody had the other two. So, as long as you get Valerie and voice in there, you'll probably get it close enough to find me.
And we are, I forget our usernames. Commitment Issues Pod on Instagram and probably Twitter. I don't know.
The CI pod. I said the IC pod before.
Close
Shout out
enough.
to me not knowing our handles at all. But
Okay,
yeah,
I don't either. But anyways, thank you everyone for listening. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.